I have to say, as loyal a Democrat as I am, today I am ashamed of my party's performance at this convention, this executive board meeting, because a legitimate complaint with a legitimate request for support was denied.
So this is dramatic, what we're dealing with, not to mention, as you pointed out, we have 150,000 American Legion members who are opposed to the park. We've got the Veterans United for Truth, 1,000. We've got the American GI Forum, 5,500, National Veterans Coalition, 3,500. You start adding these numbers up, it's pretty dramatic that now one person at this meeting could stop this.
The Veterans Park Conservancy entered into an agreement with the Veterans Administration for a 20-year lease with a 10-year option. Generally, when you enter into an agreement for a lease, there are some kind of monetary considerations. This is a 20-year rent-free giveaway.
Parts of that Veterans Administration facility have already been given over to non-veteran activity. We are on the slippery slope already. Certain agencies park their vehicles there. Offices are used that are used for things other than veterans' purposes. At the same time, around the country, veterans' hospitals are closing, veterans' clinics are closing, and at the latest count, according to the VA's own figures, 650,000 veterans are still waiting to see a doctor for the first time. We have to stop this.
All we were asking for really is for the Democratic Party to speak to Congressman Waxman, Congressman Filner, and the other elected officials and say, reconsider. That doesn't seem to me like a hell of a lot to ask.
All right, this gate was constructed at a cost of $1 million. VA kicked in $1 million, and I think the locals kicked in $1 million. Supposedly for the use of the vets, okay? Now see, if you look over here, you'll see that this gate remains locked. There aren't any veterans coming in or out.
The original land use policy, the original master plan, if you will, was the terms, the condition, the spirit and intent of the Grant Deed of 1888. And what that meant was that this was a community for healing, the healing of veterans. And what it is today is a home for rich mark entertainment, to have lavish private parties here. It's a place where UCLA does research, not on things that are directly related to the healthcare of veterans, but other things, and they take up an enormous amount of space. You have one of the richest private schools in the United States taking up 22 acres of this property, of the gift to veterans, and they pay something like $300,000 a year, which might be equivalent to about 6 of their tuitions, who knows. Fact is, they don't belong here. You have Marriott hotels, 5-star hotels. They all do their laundry and their sheets and everything here. There's not one stitch of laundry that's done for veterans. You have Tumbleweeds Bus Company parked on here. They have an agreement with the VA. All of these people have agreements, don't get me wrong. They're legally here. But who's to blame for that? The caretakers, the so-called health caregivers, who instead of being health caregivers, they're more like real estate agents. They're more like brokers. They've given away the farm.
You can imagine what Los Angeles was like, if you can, 120 years ago. Nobody wanted to live out here. I mean, this was 2 days' ride on a horse and buggy to try to get here from downtown Los Angeles. So this was considered the wilderness, the woods. Now, all of a sudden, 120 years later, this land is worth probably $10,000 a square foot. So it takes on a whole new connotation.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm Bob Archuleta. I'm Los Angeles County Commissioner of Military and Veterans Affairs, and I came by this Sunday afternoon with my family to visit my veterans, our veterans, your veterans, because of the fact there's an issue here right now in Los Angeles County, and that is this park back behind us, this land that's behind us. This belongs to the federal government. It belongs to the veterans of this country who served and bled for this country. And there's an issue because of the fact that there are elements out there that are ready to take this park and take this land, and who knows what they're going to do with it. But we can't allow that to happen. So we're asking all the veterans to come together and join us, the veterans of Los Angeles County, to preserve our land, to make sure that this land stays with us.
My name is Gilbert Flores. I'm from Orange County. I'm just here to support my fellow veterans and try to take this land back. This land grab that was done by special interests and big money here in West LA. And I hope today we have a big turnout, and so people can see exactly who's here fighting for a just and honorable cause. Thank you.
What's important is that it was deeded as a national veterans home. Back that time they called it a soldier's home, but it was a home. They knew at that time that those who bear the brunt of the battle will not only suffer physical but mental wounds, and they needed a place to heal. And it's interesting is that it is a home, yet within Los Angeles we have 20,000 homeless veterans. And what's perhaps even more amazing is that adjacent to this magnificent home are some of the wealthiest people in the United States that live in multi-million-dollar mansions, while the very ones who made it all possible are fending for themselves on the streets.
Again here, ladies and gentlemen, Veterans National Park. It's not a park. This land belongs to the veterans. It goes all the way back. And if you start at one end, of course, we have the cemetery. We've got the Veterans Grounds, the VA hospital. This is not a park. This is not a public park.
Drug counselor has been an addict. He knows how to help an addict. Here, a vet knows how to help a vet.
In 1967, like many of you, I raised my hand and took an oath. But it wasn't a one-way contract. It was a two-way contract.
It's true. It's true. People forget that. What these fellas did for us. Okay?
This, I believe, is the first resolution that has ever come to the Democratic Party, California Democratic Party, that was not just sponsored by Democrats. We had
the Eastern Seaboard all the way across the country. There are 25 million veterans in the United States, and I can assure you that when the sleeping giant is awakened, it's going to be heard.
So our next step has to be, as we tried to do it inside the system, as everybody has tried to do it with the system as it exists. The system has failed us. So now it is time to go outside the system and start calling on the general public to support their veterans, whom they all seem to say, if you look at the back end of their cars, they support. Therefore, it's time for them to step up, and we hope we can get the interest of the press and the general public in this absolutely shameful giveaway of land that was dedicated to people who gave themselves first before they asked for anything back.